Hey everyone. So today we're going to talk about HODL. We're going to split it into two parts because first off, HODL started as a meme. It didn't start as a meme. No one knows they're making a meme when they're doing it. Alright, no, I even take that back. Sometimes you don't realize you're making a meme. Sometimes you do something embarrassing in public and it becomes a meme. But HODL evolved and it turned into something else as far as I'm concerned. And it turned into something rather beautiful. So let's go back to the beginning where it all started. Let me just check that that's right. Yeah, cool. We've got my screen now. I'm upgrading my recording abilities, guys. So here is the original post from December 18th, 2013. Now, this was some drunk guy called GameCube who decided that he felt invalidated and emasculated as a human being on every level. He was complaining about his girlfriend being out at a lesbian bar in this post, as you can see here. And he was complaining about better traders, saying, I know you guys all sell and buy back cheaper. I'm not doing that. I'm hodling. And he kept spelling it hodling by mistake because he was so drunk. I'm going to hold because you know what? I suck. Yeah, you can laugh at me. I mean, the whole thing was just a guy having a meltdown, basically. And at the end he says, so I've had some whiskey. Actually, on the bottle it's spelled whiskey without an E. So I thought I'd have some whiskey for this particular video in honor of this. And there we go. Whatever, sue me, but it's only payable in BTC. Now, this guy's still in the community. If we go to his profile and then go to the last post of this person. Okay, the last time he posted was January 2020. That's a year and a half ago. Okay, maybe he's not so present anymore, but he's certainly not an influencer or someone anyone ever talks about. I'd never come across mention of this guy. He's been completely forgotten about. He's like the Satoshi of a meme here. Like, he's just been completely his identity is not attached to what's going on here, and I find that kind of funny. I find it almost sad how little acknowledgement he gets for what he is. So here's his Bitcoin address. Let's take a look at how much Bitcoin he's actually received, being the creator of the HODL meme. Wow. So he's received $119 worth of Bitcoin at today's rate. And I guess most of these coins were sent to him many, many years ago. What's his address? 15SL. Where is it? It should be somewhere in here, but I don't. Oh no, it's part of 68 addresses. I'm not going to open up that transaction. But anyway, I mean, it's $100, right? So people are sending him, 10 cents or something. Someone sent him 162,000 sats here, which is $50 at today's rate. But they sent it on the 1st of January, so that probably would have been about the 1st of January 2018. So what was the price then? Around 16 grand or something like that. So what's that, half of today? So if someone sent him $25, that's probably the biggest payment he got. This one is bigger, but it's another $50 at today's rate. So yeah, I mean, then someone sent him $3, at a similar date. I don't know. So this guy's made $120 despite being basically the inventor or the guy to coin the phrase that defines a whole generation, in my opinion, discovering savings once again. We know how it started for him. That's not what he was representing here. He was basically saying, I'm learning a lesson, and that lesson is don't trade. Just buy, and just don't trade, because some people make money trading, but I can't do it. And that's a very honest lesson to learn, and he was probably completely spot on with that. I mean, Let's take a look at this. For God's sake, TradingView is driving me absolutely crazy. Every time I get these charts ready to make a video. Yeah, now it's reset. TradingView drives me nuts. So where are we going here? Back to 2013. That post was made here. I'm going to zoom in. That post was made on a particularly significant day. So we'd had 2013 had been a fun year. It was a lot like 2017 and 2021. And we had a little rise up from, sub $10 all the way to 266. Then the first crash, which is kind of what we're going through now in 2021. And then, boom, we get this unbelievable run at the end of 2013. That was it. That was the incredible. We went above $1,000. He made that post on the 18th of December, which is this day here. Now, if you look at that, it was a horrific time. Like we dropped all the way from here down to, in how many days is that? That's 19 days, and we dropped 66%. And he was sitting there hating his life, as we all do when we have Bitcoin and we've had so much fun. We bought some here maybe, or maybe we bought some here. It went down a bit, that sucks, but then look, flies up, then it flies down, it collapses. And there's all these people laughing at you going, haha, short it here, buy back here, we're geniuses, and you feel small and stupid for not doing it. And that's what his post is saying. I typed that title twice because I knew it was wrong the first time. Still wrong, whatever. Girlfriend's out at a lesbian bar, BTC crashing. Why am I holding? I'll tell you why. It's because I'm a bad trader, and I know I'm a bad trader. Well, this guy is showing some profound self-awareness, because he was holding, meaning he wasn't selling. If he'd have sold here. Now that is a lesson. If you can come away from this video with one lesson, that is a great one to take. When you want to sell, when your life sucks, it's because you're feeling like you want to sell on a day like this. And if he had sold on a day like this, how would he have felt over the next 19, I think it is, days? Yeah, here's the following 19 days. Well, as you rise back up again. Yes, we did actually eventually go lower again. Took a long time, all the way until January 2015. So that's over a year he'd have had to have waited to be able to buy back cheaper. Chances of that being a successful trade, selling there, or even somewhere within this candle, pretty damn low. That's what your emotions do to you in a market. And that's why if you feel like selling now, as we're about to smash below 30,000, it looks like, your emotions are trying to move. Your emotions are the mechanism of moving money from people who can't ignore them to people who can. So that's the price. That's the lesson this guy's trying to teach us with HODL. And it's not a backronym. It's just a misspelling of a drunken ramble one night on Bitcoin Talk. But people have co-opted it, and news agencies have given it a backronym of calling it Hold On for Dear Life, HODL. It's not that. That's not what the guy was doing here. I hate that people have put this backronym on it and taken away from this thing. But the point is, to me, it developed and evolved, the HODL meme, and turned into a sort of noble new understanding, the reinvention of something we've had to rediscover from the past, which is using money to store purchasing power, to store wealth for the future, because that hasn't been possible because the money we use up until Bitcoin is just so bad. So let's look at some of why that's the case. Interest rates are a good reflection of the quality of the money going around. So here is a chart of the Federal Reserve fund rates, or the interest rates in America over the last 7 or 8 decades. And what have we got here? In 1980, it went above 20% for a tiny period. I don't know much about economics in the 1980s. I know that we were recovering some ridiculousness in the 70s, from over-unionization in the UK and all that stuff. Nothing really worked. We had a 3-day work week and everyone was on strike all the time. I don't know that much about Reaganomics and Thatcher era. My economic knowledge is pretty limited there. It was before my time. But I do know about the dot-com bubble. And what you can see here is that throughout the 90s, we just finished a low period. Then we started to increase. And then around the end of the 90s, at the beginning of the noughties, we have a peak. Interest rates are all the way up to 6.5% again. And then the dot-com bubble bursts. And the NASDAQ plummets along with the the interest rates, because at this point, governments know what they have to do. They have to punt money into the economy, and they have to make the money worthless so that people spend it. They have to ruin one of the functions of money, which is, can you use it to store value for the future reliably? And the lower the interest rate, the less you can do that. So they keep doing that recently, and every time they try and correct it, something goes wrong. So in this case, we had after the dot-com bubble crashed and we had interest rates collapse along with it, They slowly started increasing again as banks managed to figure out how to do some very complicated and funny scams where they could sell mortgages to people that couldn't repay them because they didn't care whether they'd get repaid or not, and then bet against all those financialized products and make a killing in either direction. But unfortunately, you can make a killing so big that you can bankrupt the insurance companies you're using to hedge your bets. And I don't want to get too complicated with all that, and I don't. I do want to point out that whole thing collapsed in 2008, and that's when I was affected, because I was a young adult at that point. I finally had a savings account. I remember I had a high interest savings account that was giving me 8% a month. I'd been earning a reasonable amount of money as a musician. I was doing quite well. And I had enough money saved away that 8% interest could pay about half of my rent at the time. And it was good. And I was slowly growing. I felt like I was developing. I was on a path to buy a house or something like that. I felt like I was doing well. Then 2008, credit crunch happens. Boom. Absolute collapse. Lowest interest rate since the 60s. And what does that mean? It means that loads of money is created. No one has any incentive to keep it anymore because there's no interest anywhere. So people are just forced to spend it as quickly as possible, which means prices rise quickly. And that means that having a savings account is a waste of time. And you literally just watch the purchasing power of all of your hard-earned money evaporate or melt like an iceberg. And this is really annoying, and it screws up incentives and motivations so badly. A society where that is the case, where the money you use only has the function of short-term medium of exchange, means that everything else has to fill that function. And that's inappropriate for everything else, because nothing else is designed to be just a store of value. Everything else has some other function that gets perverted when there is nothing that you can use as a raw store of value. And what does that mean? It means that people buy stocks and shares. They buy those stocks and shares because they need somewhere to put their purchasing power, not because they believe in the companies. It means people buy houses, people invest in real estate, not because they want to live there, but because real estate is deflationary. There's only so much of it, or disinflationary. I had someone be pedantic about the difference. I don't really know the difference there. But the point, and then you have, what do you have? A piece of art that looks like someone shot a blunderbuss full of paint, a 8x8 canvas that's worth 450 million or something like that, and used again as a store of value. And it doesn't have any function as art. It just has function as a store of value. And the only reason for that is because there is no functioning store of value, because the money we would all, logically use for that is deliberately being described by the people that create it as worthless. They are saying, if you have $1 million and you lend it to someone else, i.e. your bank, they will give you back $1,000,003 a month from now. Because guess what? They don't consider it particularly valuable. They don't. If you lend them that, they're saying, this is what we consider having $1 million for a month to be worth 3 cents. That's what they're saying to you, which is outrageous. But it's also something that you should pay attention to and say, yeah, this money really isn't worth anything. And it's very annoying because it's, as I've gone over many times before, you're using a yardstick or a barometer or some sort of measuring device for value that keeps changing size on you, and only in one direction too. And you're going, what the heck? Gas is up, groceries are up, bread is up, corn is up, rent is up. Plane tickets are up. Everything is up. Crude oil is up. Of course it's all up. But if everything is up, the thing at some point you have to question the device you're using to measure, not the actual things you're measuring. So all that is to say, money is useless now. And it's useless in one particular way, which is you can't use it to save anymore. It's not a useful, reliable store of value. So people are forced to buy other things that are in lieu of that. And those other things are actually necessary for people, not as a store of value. People need houses because they need somewhere to live. And people should be buying stocks and shares because they believe in the companies that they're investing in. People should be buying art because it's good art. It's completely perverse for people to be using these things as a store of value. The store of value should be the money a culture uses, nothing else. It shouldn't be antique cars or anything like that. It doesn't make sense. And that being the case, if this is why we say fix the money, fix the world, because so many problems come from that. And it just requires a bit of thought and wisdom on your part to go, yeah, actually, this is corrupting everything we do, because it creates consumerism. It tells people that unless you understand complex financial products, unless you have all the time to sit here and study markets, unless you're actually going to do that, you're just going to have to sit there and hold money, and we're going to rob you of your purchasing power. We're going to punish you for the fact that you don't have the time to sit there and analyze markets all day. We're going to steal from you. We are going to if we stole from you, everyone would just see it as theft. If we do it in a civilized enough manner, then it's called taxation instead, and that's sort of okay, but everyone agrees we don't like paying that much tax. Everyone does their best to pay less tax. But if we silently rob you of the purchasing power of the money you own, then no one minds, and that's inflation. And it's all the same thing. It's all theft. It's just abstracted away. And so what we're left with is this situation where we have the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 at absolute all-time highs all the time, because it just makes more sense to park your money there than anywhere else. But the stock market doesn't make any sense. It's not reflective of people's faith in it. It's not reflective of functional products. And we've finally seen I don't know whether it's a specious link to draw these things together, but like people have given up on rational investment entirely now and gone, that's it. Let's just YOLO into a stock for a company that objectively sucks, like GameStop. Like no one is buying stuff from everything. It's a digital company. They sell digital products. Everything can be downloaded. There's no point in having brick and mortar stores anymore. GameStop is rightfully it's a shame, but the reality is GameStop is not a valuable thing to humanity anymore, and the stock went up by hundreds of % because people were just having fun. That to me tells me the clown show that is the modern economy. And so it is with AMC and all these other meme stocks recently. So it is with Dogecoin. So it is with all of crypto. And this is insane, because we need a vehicle to save and store value. So, I mean, obviously I'm dancing around the issue here. We have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is that. It's a fantastic way for us to do this, and it creates all the opposite incentives. It's no longer short-termism. It's no longer consumerism. It's the opposite, because if you buy something frivolous on Amazon that costs you $50 that you don't really need, some cheap shit from China that was, made in conditions that you would never tolerate yourself, it arrives, whatever, that $50 you spent a year from now is only going to buy you $35 worth of stuff anyway. Might as well buy it. With Bitcoin, hell no. If you spend $50 worth of Bitcoin on something that you didn't really need, 10 years from now, that's probably over $1 million or something like that. You're not happy about that, and you learn that lesson in Bitcoin. You learn that you need to orient yourself to the future, and you need to learn financial responsibility. You need to learn how to own something and keep it safe, and not rely on someone else to keep it safe for you, because they'll just steal it. So you have to keep your Bitcoin. You have to learn how to keep it safe. You have to learn enough about how to pull your stocks up digitally. It's not that hard, but it needs to be done. So Bitcoin, all the way back, let's zoom all the way out. HODL. What HODL means to me is it's people saying, I can have a savings account again without feeling like a chump. Because if you have a savings account in government money, you are a chump. And if you have to work because you're not in a particularly prestigious position, then you're stuck, because you can't not be a chump. You have to use the money your economy functions on, and you don't have time to learn about how to make it work for you. You don't have time to move into other things, because it's all obfuscated. It's all too complicated, and it's all very boring and tedious as well. That's why I've never invested in anything in my life, because it just seems boring and rigged, and we know it's all rigged. So Bitcoin comes along. Bitcoin's fantastic, and it's easy, and it's outside the system, and it's a fair economy that is just so powerful it can just dominate. And I should switch back. It's powerful, and it can totally dominate what we see. What we see in the current economy, which it is a clown show, guys. It's so easy to create something better than that, and Bitcoin this is why we say it's hope. This is why we say it's so meaningful and so brilliant and so liberating to humanity. It's because when you stop infantilizing people and stealing from them, and saying, look, you're adults, you decide what you're going to do, okay? You earn the money you have. You can keep it. You don't need to be spending it straight away. This is just, it's a call to maturity, and it's something I like to see. And we're there now, thanks to Bitcoin. And HODL, specifically to me, is a generation saying, we grew up without the ability to have a savings account. All we did was we used the money, the technology we were using was designed to steal from us. And as a result, we had no hope. And we earned what we could, and we operated on the treadmill for as long as possible while everyone encouraged us to live month to month, gig economy, rent, don't own. There was no aspiration in any of that. None of the old values that we're used to as free market capitalists. None of that was possible. Everything was socialized. Everything was, let's start universal basic income. All these economically illiterate ideas that are pushed by the most respected people, the alternate intellectual presidential candidates like Andrew Yang and all these absolute illiterate idiots that think these things are a good idea. They have no basic clue about economics, and it's so stupid that someone like me, who's a musician who knows a lot about Bitcoin, can come along and go, that's all obviously stupid, and why am I living in such a clown world, and why do these things have to... I get so frustrated, guys, because I honestly came up with an analogy earlier where I was saying to my girlfriend, if the whole world has if you discover something new like the mango fruit and you taste it and it's delicious and you say to the world, hey, I found this new fruit, it's called a mango and no one's heard of it yet, you're the first guy, you can get this thing going. You can bring the mango to your country and say, try it, and everyone that tries it likes it and it's delicious and it's easy. But what if someone else got there before you and they found this crappy, gross variety of mango that tasted horrible and they got everyone to try that? And then you tried to do the same thing with your good mango. It's impossible because everyone's already tried it. They already have a notion of what it is and they're already repulsed by it. And you have to go, no, that's not how it works. That's what explaining Bitcoin to people is like so much, because everyone not only has experience of money in the first place and is completely repulsed by financialization and all of this endless maths and all of this staring at charts and all that. People are not naturally drawn to it because it's also nasty anyway. And not only that, we have crypto now. We have the shitcoin industry as well, which is everyone sampling the whole thing and going, no, this is rubbish. I lost a load of money on Dogecoin. How many people have lost money on Dogecoin because of Elon Musk and because of their own stupidity and their own naivety? Dogecoin is doing horrendously now. It's let me switch back to this this chart here. Leave page. Trading view, as I said, is driving me absolutely crazy as usual. Market cap, Doge, dollar, Bitfinex. That's as good as any. Where are we at? We're breaking new lows. I mean, to be fair, Bitcoin is right now as well. But this is when everyone I knew was buying into Dogecoin. And Bitcoin was bad, sure. But let's see how bad we've done from the top for Dogecoin. I mean, we're down 76%. I mean, this is just unbelievable. This is really quite painful to look at. And if anyone's still holding this thing, I mean, this chart is dead. It's absolutely dead. We're hitting new lows. I need to find a chart that has a bit more history on it. Let's check Binance maybe. They're the kind of idiots that would have Dogecoin going on for a long time. So here's Dogecoin. I mean, presumably it would be reasonable to predict we're going back to this point, which is 8.5 cents per Doge. I mean, it's over, guys. I don't ever see this coming back, and it doesn't deserve to either. It's not fundamentally a good idea. We've gone below 17 cents now. I mean, I feel so bad for anyone involved in this, but this is the problem. The HODL meme has bled over now and become perverted by crypto. It doesn't make sense to HODL. This is not something you can use as a store of value. Dogecoin is a meme. It's not a store of value. It's not even deflationary. Deflationary assets are something that it makes sense to hold. Bitcoin is deflationary. Dogecoin is not. It's inflationary by design, and even if it was deflationary, it's centralized so it could be changed on you at any moment. So this is not a store of value. It's like buying real estate knowing that there could be another Earth amount, an entire extra Earth's amount of real estate suddenly show up. Like half the Pacific Ocean suddenly becomes green land mass. that's ideally habitable for humans. That's not good if you own expensive farmland somewhere, and that would happen. That wouldn't be good. Just as it wouldn't be good if you were a gold bag holder and you had an asteroid full of gold crash into the Earth. That wouldn't be great for your investment into gold either. Bitcoin's the only thing in the universe that there aren't going to suddenly be more of because of an unpredictable event or a decision that comes on behalf of a centralized institution. I mean, this is honestly one of the ugliest charts I've ever seen. I'm not a TA whiz, but look at this thing, guys. This is absolutely dead, and it doesn't deserve to be brought back to life. It's the pet of this ignorant billionaire who is butthurt and had his feelings hurt about Bitcoin, and he's pushing this thing without any technical understanding of it. He's saying, oh, we're going to tweak Dogecoin, we're going to do this, we're going to make blocks 100 times faster, transactions 100 times cheaper, and everyone's going, yeah, right, Elon, sure, we're going to start building rockets, and we're going to make rockets, 85 times bigger, use a third of the fuel. Like, you can't just talk about this stuff if you don't understand the science, because you look like an idiot. And he doesn't understand computer science, and it doesn't seem like he understands much at all, really. Like, the Elon debunking has been quite brutal, but he really exposed what an idiot he is when it comes to his criticisms of Bitcoin. He's very quick to talk about stuff he doesn't understand, and egotistically, well, he's too messed up egotistically to actually admit when he's made a mistake. So HODL bleeding over into these things is awful, and I hope it doesn't do what I said with the mango analogy, where people get a bad experience with it and go, this isn't right. Because HODL, in its purest sense for me now, once we move on from this idea of, don't trade, which is a very valuable lesson that we should all learn, we move on from that and we go, what is HODL now? HODL to me is just the new discovery of having a savings account and planning for your future without having to do stuff that you don't really want to do, like buy stocks and shares you're not really interested in just because you have to, and they unfortunately cost more than they would because everyone else that's buying them is buying them for the wrong reasons. Like, if there's a valuable company doing something that's worth a fair amount, but their stock price is bolstered by the fact that half of the people that own that stock have to buy something because the money they would be sitting on otherwise is useless, then you're paying more for that stock than it's actually worth. So what does that mean? The free market isn't free. It's got these perverted incentives where everything costs more than it should. And you just participate in that. And that is the reality of the economy we have right now. That is the absolute pinnacle of my beef with the economy right now, is everything costs more than it should. Not just because of inflation's natural effects, but because people have to keep buying. Well, I mean, they are sort of two flip sides of the same coin, but people are buying stuff that they have no need for or no interest in, making it more expensive for everyone else because they have to do something with the money. And this is just not the way stuff is supposed to work. And Bitcoin stops it from working that way. And I believe I may be parroting many of the ideas of Saifedean Ammous in the Bitcoin Standard and his upcoming book, The Fiat Standard. I've yet to read them, which is outrageous for someone with my love of Bitcoin and in the community I find myself. But I just don't have the time. But I believe I've followed him on Twitter for a long time, and I've listened to a few of his podcasts. I believe him to be a really solid thinker and a good alternative economist who is going to be proven more and more right as the times progress and show that traditional economists just don't know what they're talking about. So HODL is, to me, it's beautiful, and it's spawned out of this ridiculousness here. And I remember being there watching it. I remember I was in another thread at the time when he posted this. I was in the Wall Observer thread, which is, I think, one of the record-holding threads on the internet for the most. I think it's up to like 25,000 pages of people posting on there. I gave up reading it around 2016. I think it just got boring, but I read almost every post on that damn thread, and it was run by a guy called I think it was called Adam SGT, and he had a nice picture of the Tux Linux penguin, and he used to call himself a trusted Bitcoiner. And I remember he abandoned it eventually, and he showed up again. This was in 2013, I think, or was it? I think it might have been 2016. We were in bull mode again, and I remember him coming back and just saying, "Yeah, I had to give Bitcoin a break." Like one one day I was in the middle of a mall and I just like dropped to my knees and went Bitcoin, and like he's like, I'm just losing it, guys. I'm just so down this rabbit hole. I have to take a break. And I don't know what happened to him, but he started basically one of the most legendary threads in the internet's history. But I remember one night on there, people were like, bro, have you seen what's going on in this other thread, the I am hodling thread? So funny. And we got all these responses, people being like, great story, bro, question mark, question mark, question mark. And then the second response to him was hodl. Someone picked up on it. Third response, lol, in response to hodl. Fourth response, epic thread in 3, 2, 1, and there you go. And it, then the memes began. I am hodling, Sparta. It went on, well, to this day, but it has been forgotten about. Dyslexics hodl, hodl, hodlin. I don't know. There's just so much history here, but it wasn't even my favorite meme. My favorite meme was someone writing. When it was ready to go up, when we had some great news, some great bullish news. We had, what did we have? We had someone write, here, bunch of great news. This is it, gentlemen. They tried to write, but they accidentally wrote, this is gentlemen. And then this is gentlemen became a great meme. I love that. You still see it around crypto Twitter sometimes. It's quite rare to come across this is gentlemen, but I always found that. I always really liked that meme. But yeah, so that was it. That was the origin of the HODL meme. And I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it means to you what it means to me, which is not what the original writer intended. He intended it to just mean don't trade. But it's really more than that, isn't it? It's really save for the future, because you have something worth it now and you don't need to screw around with it. You don't need to try and be clever. You can just buy it and wait. So that's the end. That's the end of the HODL story, guys. Peace.